I'm excited about this spread. This is the kind of thing that you would use the new rye bread that we just recently introduced in our menu for. It's a beautiful brunch that you can put together really almost as easily as just opening up a bunch of ingredients. It's not a whole lot different than a charcuterie board. Rye pairs beautifully with a bunch of flavors, but there is one fundamental rule, and that's that all rye should have butter. So I'm going to go ahead and slice this rye bread thin. What's nice about this bread too is that it's so long lasting. The bread that I have with me right now is several days old, and you can't tell. The inside of the crumb is still beautifully moist, so it tends to keep its freshness for quite a while, up to a couple weeks. The outer crust will get a little harder over time, but it will take forever for that to translate to hardness on the inside. It's one of the best things about this bread. I think it's best sliced thin, but of course that can be a matter of personal preference. This style knife is really the way to go. It's got a little bit of a bend to it with a serrated blade, and the handle is higher than the base of the blade. I think for all bread, it's the style of knife that makes it easiest. Some people actually cut this particular style of bread with something that looks more like a guillotine, where you can basically just bring down a blade. And so you can use that kind of a bread slicer if you happen to have one. They look pretty cool. They're somewhat common in certain places. So I'm going to cut just a couple more slices. The beautiful thing about this arrangement is if you can sort of give your guests or family a bit of education on what they are to do, then they can build their own adventure. So I'm going to place these and slice, I guess, 2 more slices for the sake of filling my board. And step 1, so you could basically serve at this stage. You could say, hey, the goal here is choosing your own adventure, and you could just leave your guests with the instruction that you ought to use butter. It does make a pretty big difference. So I'm going to take butter and put it on each one. And then from there, the possibilities are truly endless. You can see a variety of complementary flavors on the table. I have some hard-boiled eggs. I have some sliced green apples. I have a salad mix, which I'm going to dress with just a little bit of lemon juice. I have some avocados, some Cornichon pickles, cherry tomatoes. That's like over here I have a bruschetta pepper spread. I think it's bell peppers marinated in oil of some kind. And then I have a little sour cherry jam, some pickled onions, pomegranates. Probably one of the strangest ones is just bars of chocolate. I have an assortment of cheeses, feta over here, but then these are all cheddars with the exception of this one, which is smoked Gouda. This is a horseradish cheddar. I bought basically an assorted pack here. It made it very easy for myself. This is like some sort of a hot cheddar, and then this is a New York sharp cheddar. So I'm going to first start by just spreading this butter in, and I guess I probably didn't need quite that large of a piece of butter as I went, so I'll just set some aside. The butter is really fundamental to the rye, and this style of breakfast is pretty common in certain parts of the world, like Northern Europe. I think we are missing some classics from the table right now. Pickled herring is a very classic thing to add to this assortment of food. So if you're adventurous for that, I think smoked salmon would probably go really well. You could definitely do cured meats of any kind. So again, you don't have to be limited to the things that I have. I just went to the store and picked some random assortment of goods out. I tried to maximize the different colors in the assortment and different flavors, sweet, savory. Generally, fermented foods go really well with this spread, so anything pickled I really enjoy. Okay, so now that I have my pieces buttered, I'm going to basically assemble an assortment of these little open-faced creations. So let's dress my lettuce, some lemon juice. To this lettuce, I might choose to add a couple pieces of avocado and nestle an egg. That'll be my first one right there. Hardly a wrong choice that you can make. Maybe you have to be selective about where the chocolate goes. In fact, I'm going to keep that one easy and just say that's one. This is kind of a classic snack in certain parts of the world. I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention in case somebody wants to try this. I don't think it's typical for a lot of places to just put a bar of chocolate on bread, but in fact, you can. Okay, so next I'm going to actually dig into these sliced apples and spread them out. And I'm going to just simply top this one with some crumbled feta. That'll be a really nice one. My challenge is to actually use all these ingredients in some way, which I have a lot of them. So again, the flavor combinations really can go miles here. Let's go for these pickles. I really love Cornichon pickles on rye. I think they pair so nicely. But maybe before I put the pickles, I'll put a slice of cheese, and that can be that one right there. Let's go for a little bit more here. I've got these, I don't actually know what these are called. I think they're called like pearl onions. They are pickled, they come in a jar, and I love them. They often actually are in the same jars as the Cornichon pickles if you find the right brand that does that, but they also pair nicely. I think they'll go really well with these marinated peppers. At the very least, it's a beautiful color. Of course, we have to do one very classic jam, and this is a sour cherry jam, which I thought will pair particularly nicely. Let's keep on going here. I already used the smoked Gouda, so I'm going to use some of this sharp cheddar and pair that with, I think, again, avocados and tomatoes in tandem. That should be really nice. Now I want to go for these pomegranates, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to do this. I think we're going to go back to this Gouda for this as a base. I'll take a couple pieces of lettuce, the pomegranates right on top. I've used actually quite a bit of this spread, but as you can see, a lot goes a long way. I've only consumed, I'd say, about half of the loaf at this point for 12 pieces, and I've got 4 more to top. So one loaf could give you 24 servings, and I think a complete lunch probably would be several pieces depending on your hunger, of course. Let's do another salad forward combination. This time I'm going to throw tomatoes on and finish with feta. Now I might even add a little spritz of lemon juice there on top. I kind of want to play with the apples again. Just make it very fruit forward and go apples and pomegranate on that one. I'm going to play with this horseradish cheddar now. And let's actually go back to the pickles for this one. I'll line up some pickles this way for texture. And that will probably be very good for that one. I've got one left, and I think I haven't really used nearly enough egg. So let's make this one an egg forward one. I think, who doesn't like eggs with cheese? Maybe this will be a good use for this hot cheese. I don't know how many possibilities there are existing in this spread, but there's many, many, many. And this is exactly what you would want to do with your guests over brunch. So everybody's kind of having a unique experience, but just using kind of the community spread of ingredients. So I recommend setting it up just this way, where basically all the ingredients have their own vessel and everybody assembles their own pieces of rye, but butter first. So let's go ahead and try one. Which one do I want to dig into? It's kind of hard to choose. I might just go with this one here, the apples and the feta cheese. So let's do it. It's delicious. I don't know what else you could want from a lunch. So what I'm going to do now is basically make my team here a little bit more food. I'm going to double up on all of these, and I have plenty of ingredients. You can see these ingredients would easily be enough for the full loaf and maybe then some. So I think I spent $60 at the store for kind of premium versions of these ingredients, and keep in mind the majority of them are still in my fridge. Then the loaf of bread, and you could serve, I mean, a whole group of people with this. So it could also be a pretty economical brunch if you're serving a big group, and you can get all of the nutrients for a complete meal in this. Don't forget there's a bunch of stuff that's missing from this board, like cured meats or especially seafood really would play nicely to these flavor profiles. So I hope you give this a try and enjoy this as a way of using rye bread. A name for this style of brunch, I think the pronunciation might not be right, but it's Smørrebrød. So Smorrebrød. Smørrebrød. So you can look up that word and get some more inspiration online of what you can do with a nice majority rye loaf and some toppings. So enjoy. It's easiest to score your loaves when they're cold. We eat with our eyes first.
You have to understand your audience enough to be able to say, like, I'm going to be charging a lot of money for my super crazy cool thing, or it's so cool and so creative that only you can do it, and then you don't stand a chance of scaling it.
Let's go over what it's like to build a bakery from one person to many.